Now, Meghan Markle filmed an episode of MasterChef when she was here in Australia. That episode is set to air soon, but there are reports coming out that Meghan was upset at being called royalty by the judges. Here she is.
We've had MasterChef royalty in the kitchen before, but no one like this. All the way from sunny California, please welcome to MasterChef Australia, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle!
So what can you tell us about this? Because it does seem rather odd, considering she does try and plug royalty wherever she can.
She spent 4 years building a brand on the idea that she doesn't need the royal family. So why, apparently, did being called royalty on a cooking show reportedly send her into a mood? If you're the Duchess of Sussex, sorry, if you're just Meghan now, depending which week it is, you'd think this would be an easy one. Somebody calls you royalty on television. You smile. You wave. You move on with your day. Instead, if the reports are right, this became a thing. And chums, sorry, loyal opposition, that's what we're calling ourselves now, isn't it? That's exactly the kind of thing I can't leave alone. Morning, loyal opposition. Hope wherever you're watching this, the tea's hot and the patience is thin, because we've got a proper one today. Thank you, by the way, for all the comments on the last video. Genuinely didn't expect that many of you to have strong feelings about garden furniture, but here we are, apparently a gardening channel now as well as a royal one. We'll get back to petunias another day. Speaking of things that look one way from the outside and completely different up close, I once worked with someone who introduced themselves at every single meeting as self-made. Charming line. Except the company had been founded by their father. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. Plenty of people build on a foundation somebody else laid. The only issue is when you spend your entire personality insisting you didn't. That's not humility. That's a rebrand. And, chums, you see that tenuous link already forming, don't you? Because that's rather the story we're circling today. So here's what we reportedly know. Meghan filmed a guest appearance on MasterChef Australia. It hasn't aired yet, so take all of this with the appropriate grain of salt, but according to reporting circulating from a couple of outlets, this hasn't been confirmed with named sources, which itself tells you something. The show's judges introduced her on air by leaning into exactly the word you'd expect. Royalty. We've had MasterChef royalty in the kitchen before, but no one like this. Duchess of Sussex, all the way from California, welcome to the show. Perfectly normal thing for a television production to say, you'd think. It's a hook. It's a fun bit of framing for an audience. And yet, apparently, behind the scenes, this didn't sit well. The reports suggest she wasn't thrilled about being labelled royalty on her own guest spot, on her own terms, in her own choice of media. And this is where it gets, I won't say hypocritical, I'll let you decide that word for yourselves, but it is at minimum a little inconsistent. Because since stepping back from royal duties in 2020, the entire operation, Archewell Foundation, Archewell Productions, the whole ecosystem, has been built on a foundation of, we're independent now, we built this ourselves. This isn't about the crown. Fair enough. That's a real and defensible position to take. Except the royal connection doesn't exactly get left at the door when it's useful. The titles stay. The Duchess of Sussex credit stays on the guest appearances. The brand has, at various points, leaned quite comfortably on exactly the association it claims to have moved past. So when a cooking show host uses the word royalty as a 5-second bit of on-air flattery, and that becomes the thing that reportedly causes friction, you can see why people are raising an eyebrow. You don't get to keep the crown on the resume and then get frustrated when someone reads it out loud. Now, this wouldn't be the first time this year that the gap between the public brand and the private reality has shown up somewhere. Because you'll remember, or if you don't, catch up, there was that whole business a few weeks back about the reportedly secretive family reunion up at Highgrove. Quick recap for anyone who missed it. Harry came back to the UK, reportedly saw his father, reportedly saw the kids. Buckingham Palace did at least confirm the visit happened, that part's solid. Everything else is, again, sources and insiders, so treat it accordingly. But here's the detail that actually matters for what we're talking about today. Meghan was not seen in public once during that entire trip. Not a single appearance. Harry went solo to a public Invictus Games event. The explanation given was security. Apparently she wasn't getting police protection for public appearances on that visit, so she stayed out of view entirely. Now, is that a completely reasonable, boring, bureaucratic explanation? Yes, genuinely, probably. Security logistics are a real thing, and not every gap needs a conspiracy bolted onto it. But look at the pattern next to today's story and tell me it isn't interesting. In one story, the royal connection isn't enough to get you public protection. In another, the royal connection is exactly what gets leaned on for a guest spot on a cooking show. You can't have it both ways forever without somebody, somewhere, noticing the seams. And I think that's really the through line here, loyal opposition. This was never actually about a MasterChef intro line. Nobody is genuinely wounded by being called royalty on a television program. That's not a real grievance. That's a 5-second edit that will be forgotten by the time the episode airs. What it's really about is a brand that has spent years trying to walk two paths at once. Fully independent when independence is the story that sells. Fully royal when royal is the story that sells. That's not a scandal. It's a strategy. It's just one that occasionally shows its stitching, and this looks like one of those moments. So here's what I want from you this time, and I want you to actually commit to an answer in the comments, not just a who knows. The pattern says this brand doesn't sit still for long, there's always a next move, and it's usually one that ends up working against them rather than for them. So predict it. What's the next own goal? What's the next move that ends up pulling them further away from the very thing they're trying to hold on to? The pattern says you won't be waiting long to find out. That's it from me, loyal opposition. See you at the next one.